Hi there guys, welcome back to another World of Warcraft Legion Alpha. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Protection Warrior. Now, I have mostly done my instances and things like that, testing them out on the Warrior, just because a friend of mine had a Restoration Shaman and it was just easier for us to queue as tank and healer. So I have done a lot of practice on this guy. I have managed to test out a lot of abilities, and I do think I've got it nailed down pretty much to a T at the moment. So let's kick off with the talent, shall we? First off, again, just as is on live, and with all the other classes as well, warriors, we all get Shockwave and Stormbolt. Now we get it for level 15 as a prop warrior, which is pretty cool. I think that's a really nice little way to start off as a protection warrior these days, is to have that Shockwave. That's going to become really handy, I think, at low level for doing low level dungeons. So again, it's just a frontal cone stun with a little bit of damage on it for a short period of time. Oh, I just got the debuff, that's nice. Stormbolt, again, is just a ranged single target stun that does a bit more damage. Pretty sweet, I do like it. I very much liked it for PvP reasons. Warbringer, intercept now deals 14,695 damage to all enemies within 5 yards of the target and stuns them for 1.5 seconds. This is pretty cool, I quite like this. Some warriors might choose this over the other abilities here. I prefer Shockwave myself, but this basically just means, because at the moment intercept doesn't actually deal damage, you just charge the target and you root them for 1.5 seconds. But having the ability to be able to just charge them and deal damage to them and their surrounding enemies as well as stun them, that could be pretty cool. I think that could definitely work into a warrior's favour. Perhaps there's not much point in having Shockwave if you can do that, but because again this is just to all enemies within 5 yards, whereas this one is towards enemies in front of you. So again, it's just going to be depending on how you like your playstyle, really. Level 30 talent, we've got Impending Victory. Now, the reason why I've gone for this talent is because I do think that without Enraged Regeneration, warriors are a little bit lackluster on the healing front. Just because we don't have that instant heal over time or anything like that. So every 30 seconds I can heal myself for 15% of my maximum health, deal a little bit of damage, but if I kill something, an enemy that yields experience or honor, it resets the cooldown of Impending Victory, which is really cool because warriors at the moment are in a place where they can deal a shitload of damage. They're probably one of the highest DPSing tanks at the moment. I'm 99% certain that they are. And this is just because of the way that they're set up with their 1 minute cooldown on Battle Cry, 45 seconds on Neltharion's Fury. It's just an all out just rampage of damage from prot warriors at the moment. Next up, Inspiring Presence. You inspire your allies within 60 yards, causing them to be healed for 3% of all damage they deal. This is pretty cool, I think, for a raid situation, perhaps where you don't need to worry too much about the healing, because you're going to be getting healed from your healers. So being able to have everyone in the group melee and range to be able to heal themselves even for a little bit, it could still work out to to ease the healer's sort of AoE healing necessity. It could be really quite good. Safeguard. Intercepting a friendly target now also causes 20% of their damage taken to transfer to you for 6 seconds. This is quite cool. I think this would be really handy in high stressful tank situations where one tank takes a debuff which increases their damage, whereas the other tanks not got the debuff, so to speak, and you can just intercept one and not the other and just reduce a bit of damage taken here and there. Level 45 we have Renewed Fury. I've gone for this talent just because as a prot warrior, possibly the most important thing that you're going to do for damage mitigation is keep up Ignore Pain 100% of the time. If you're not keeping it up 100% of the time, you're doing it wrong. If this is your main form of mitigation. So basically, whenever I have Ignore Pain up, I gain 10% increased damage for 6 seconds. Next up is Ultimatum. Your shield slam critical strikes cause your next focus rage to cost no rage. This is an interesting ability. It will work very well with a later ability. I believe it's this one, but we'll get to that later. It's a bit of a low chance. I mean, yeah, okay, it's on your shield slam critical strikes, which could work really well with battle cry, but it's just it's a low percentage chance. And again, focus rage, just like the arms warrior version, it just increases the damage of your shield slam per stack up to a maximum of 3 by anyway. I think maximum at like level 110 is probably going to be maybe about 20,000 damage. So I mean, it's a fair chunk of damage, but again, you can't use it and then use shield slam and keep the stacks. As soon as you use shield slam, you lose the stacks. So like, it's going to be quite difficult to like try and get 3 stacks then shield slam while trying to keep up damage mitigation. So I think that maybe it needs to be tweaked a little bit on the talents perhaps, or at least have this tweaked so that it doesn't cost that much rage. Again, it works really well with this, but it's quite a lot of bothering about when you can just have a flat 10% damage increase. Next up we have Avatar. Same old Avatar, can't go wrong with it. It's just a solid 20% damage increase. Fantastic talent to go for. I have used it a lot. I've done massive amounts of damage with this actually, using Avatar, Battlecry and Neltharian's Fury in tangent together. Their damage is insane. Level 60 we have Warlord's Challenge. While Berserker Rage is active, you may use Taunt with no cooldown, and taunted enemies move 50% faster towards you. This is really sweet. I quite like this for those situations where the healer or ranged person butt pulls a trash pull by mistake, or let's say like the off tank that's with you is on the other side of the room and you got to pull the boss to like the far side or something like that. This is really quite cool for that sort of reason, just because again it increases their movement speed by 50%, so it gets them there quicker. And the fact that like whenever you use Berserker Rage, you don't have a cooldown on that taunt, so you can just spam it just to get rid of that threat from the other guy. Bounding Stride. This is the exact same on all Fury arms and protection. It's just a cooldown reduction and a movement speed increase on your heroic leap. Very good. Crackling Thunder increases the radius of thunderclap by 100%. Now I do switch between Bounding Stride and Crackling Thunder quite a lot, because I like the mobility of having the jump. It doesn't seem to be working for some reason. No path available apparently, but I can jump. Don't worry about that, guys. I can do it. Crackling Thunder, again, like the increased radius, it's really strong because at the moment it is a 8-yard range, so being able to make that a 16-yard range is really, really good. Like, it really helps out a lot with AoE, especially for those annoying little casters. Like in a pack of mobs, you always get that caster that just doesn't move, just stands there, and he's just out of range of your AoE sort of thing. So it's really quite strong for that. Level 75, we've got Best Served Cold. Revenge generates 2 additional rage for each target that it hits. Now that's pretty cool. I mean, it is a solid ability. You use it every time it's off cooldown basically, or you should be using it every time it's off cooldown. It deals damage now to all enemies in front of you, so it is a really good AoE threatening ability, so that does come into account sometimes. But I think maybe that this is pretty pointless having this here, especially when it's on a talent tree with that. Increases your maximum health by 25% and the maximum effect of your ignore pain by 25%. This is the talent that I think most people will go for. I think this is just going to be mandatory. Never surrender. Ignore pain will ignore up to 100% more damage based on your missing health. This is an interesting one. Again, you shouldn't really be missing health that much. Maybe like with your healers struggling a little bit, perhaps that is something that you can do. Or if it's like in a heroic, for example, and the boss has just done a huge damaging ability to you. I know there's a few of them that do. Some of them that can hit you for like 1.2 to 1.3 million damage, and you like drop down to like 20% health. Having this could save your life massively. But at the same time, this does increase it by 25% anyway. Okay, it's not a lot, but this is 25% across the board, whereas this is 100% based on missing health. I think that this one is just going to beat hands down the other two. I could be wrong, but I just think that this is going to be a solid one to go for. Vengeance, level 90. Ignore pain reduces the rage cost of your next focus rage by 50%. And focus rage reduces the rage cost of your next ignore pain by 50%. Now this is an absolute fantastic ability. I use this over these two any day of the week at the moment. I know that a lot of people will probably be saying that 3 haste for every enemy within 10 yards is really strong, because haste does affect your shield slam. As well as your thunderclap as well, that's it, and your revenge and focus rage and shield block. So like haste does affect that quite a lot, but having that cost 50% less is insane. Like, it saved my life so many times, because this will drop to a 15 rage cost, and this drops to a 20 rage cost. So that means that when I get the charge off, I only need to get 40 rage to activate this, to initiate the whole setup for this next ability. And then this will cost 15 rage, and then this will cost 20 rage, and then this will cost 15 rage, and then this, and you can keep it going indefinitely as long as you keep on top of it, which is very easy because these are buttons that you'll be pressing all the time. These two, especially ignore pain, I just keep it up 100% of the time, and it just means that I take no damage. Of course there's going to be situations where I take a huge burst hit, but again I'm absorbing a large amount of it, so I think that this is just such a strong talent. I know most people will probably say that the haste is better, but then again, single target, probably not. Booming Voice. Demoralizing Shout also generates 50 rage and increases damage you deal to affected targets by 20%. Now, Demoralizing Shout is a 1.5 minute cooldown. It is a very strong ability. I do use it pretty much every time that I can, just to get that damage reduction off on the targets. It's a strong ability, but again, against the Vengeance, I can't see it really doing much for me. Moving on to the hundreds, we have Anger Management. Again, it's the same as the Old Age Anger Management. I've gone for it here because it was very good single target against certain bosses, just to get my shield wall and last standoff cooldown quicker. Heavy Repercussions. Shield Slam extends the duration of Shield Block by 1.5 seconds, and Shield Block increases the damage of Shield Slam by an additional 30%. This is quite cool. I think maybe this could be better single target than Anger Management, perhaps. It just depends. I mean, again, I think Anger Management works really well with Vengeance, because it means that you can press these two more often, which means that this is going to just work more often as well. Being able to shield block more could be pretty sweet, but also the 30% increased damage is quite awesome as well. So again, I just think it's just takes somebody to work out the math between multiple talents like Vengeance and Anger Management working well together, as well as just like figuring out which one would be better in the end. Ravager I use a lot on AoE packs, just because like it's on a 1 minute cooldown, so it coincides really well with Battle Cry. So like I'll show you here, I'll just slap it on. So like what I normally do is I just go Battle Cry and then just throw it in. Again, I can't throw it in because apparently there's no bath available. So, but yeah, I generally just like Battle Cry, then throw in the Ravager to like open the initial fight. I think it's a really good opener, and then like I can just heroically bin on top of it to deal a bit of extra damage. And then from there I generally shockwave and just like set myself up into a position where they're not going to be behind me. Moving on to the actual weapon itself. Now, this is fantastic. Now, Neltharian's Fury. Enter a defensive posture, critically blocking all attacks while a stream of shadow flame erupts from the scale of the Earth Warden, dealing 220,000 damage over 3 seconds. Shadow flame damage to all enemies in front of you. You can use any defensive abilities while this is active. Now, okay, you have to stand still while casting this. But I myself have never found an issue with this. Like, occasionally I can't use it on cooldown because like the boss has just used an ability where I've got to move a little bit to then get it off. But 99% of the time I can use this ability, and it does again work really well with Vengeance because it means that I can use my Ignore Pain and my Shield Block both at the same times, like while I'm using this as well, so that like if I'm standing there and I am blasting this out, I can still Ignore Pain to absorb any damage. And again, it 100% critical block for every attack. Scales of the Earth. Critical blocks have a chance to cause an eruption from the scale of the Earth Warden, increasing your armor by 30% and dealing 8 physical damage to all enemies in front of you. This is pretty cool, like just a nice little tanky ability, just flat out 30% increased armor. Like, it works really well with this again because its critical blocks have a chance to, so it worked really well with Neltharian's Fury. Just like enter that critical block phase that you do, and then you get this at the same time. So again, it will work really well. So you can actually just stand there, take a bit on the chin, you get the 30% damage reduction as well. Well, 30% armor increase, should I say. Dragon Scales. Blocking an attack has a chance to increase your total damage ignored by your next Ignore Pain by 60% and generate 30 rage. This is really strong. Again, you will use this pretty much 100% of the time. This should be up. And Shield Block should always be used on cooldown as much as you can. Like, a couple of times I'll use it one after the other, even though like I know that I won't have it back, just because I do get a lot of damage mitigation from it. When it comes to Ignore Pain as well, because you get the bubble from Ignore Pain and then just reduce the damage that the bubble takes. It's just really strong, just makes it last a bit longer. Shields, Might of the Vicral. Shield Slam and Revenge generate 50% increased rage during Demoralizing Shout. This is quite an interesting one. Again, Demoralizing Shout only lasts for 8 seconds on a 1.5 minute cooldown. Could be a little bit better, maybe like I think that this could work really well if it wasn't on Demoralizing Shout and more on like something else, perhaps like maybe on Battle Cry, perhaps. Like, okay, it's not 8 seconds, it's only 5 seconds, but again, like, it would make more sense because Shield Slam and Revenge would be something you'd use a bit more while Battle Cry's up to get the damage out off of them. But again, it is the end of the alpha, it could change at some point, which would be nice to see. But anyway, that was just like a quick sort of rundown of what the Protection Warrior is currently looking like at the moment in the World of Warcraft Legion Alpha. Again, everything is subject to change, but it's just a quick one just so you guys can see what it's looking like at this precise moment, because we're coming a little bit more towards the end of the alpha soon, I believe, and so it's just a nice little glance to see what your character could possibly be. Okay, well, thanks for watching again, guys. I've got a bunch of more videos coming out sometimes within the next few days. I've got even more videos that I want to be doing, so thanks for watching, guys. Keep it up, keep subscribing, keep liking, and thanks for watching. Until next time, see you.